The International Certificate of Vaccination or Prophylaxis, also known as the Carte Jaune or Yellow Card, is an official vaccination record created by the World Health Organization. As a travel document, it is a kind of medical passport that is recognized internationally and may be required for entry to certain countries where there are increased health risks for travelers. The ICVP is not an immunity passport. The primary difference is that vaccination certificates such as the ICVP incentivize individuals to obtain vaccination against a disease, while immunity passports incentivize individuals to get infected with and recover from a disease. Various schemes for health passports or vaccination certificates have been proposed for people who have been vaccinated against COVID-19. The ICVP's nickname Yellow Card or its French equivalent Carte Jaune derives from the yellow color of the document. The fact that yellow fever is a commonly required vaccination for travel has contributed to the document's association with the color yellow, even though the ICVP can cover a wide range of vaccinations and booster shots, not just yellow fever. The International Certificate of Inoculation and Vaccination was established by the International Sanitary Convention for Aerial Navigation in The Hague, which came into force on 1 August 1935 and was amended in 1944. After the 1944 amendment, in addition to personal, aircraft and maritime declarations of health, the convention covered 5 certificates. The World Health Organization. The 4 World Health Assembly adopted the international sanitary regulations. The certificates mentioned were used for proof of vaccination against diseases such as cholera, yellow fever and smallpox. The term inoculation was no longer used. The old international certificates of inoculation and vaccination remained valid until they expired, after which they were replaced by the new ICV. On 23 May 1956, the 9th World Health Assembly amended the form of the International Certificate of Vaccination or Revaccination against smallpox per 1 October 1956. The WHO's World Health Assembly adopted the International Health Regulations in 1969, succeeding the previous International Sanitary Convention's regulations. IHR Article 79 introduced a Model International Certificate of Vaccination, and Appendix 2 and Annex V stipulated a number of conditions that had to be fulfilled in order for it to be considered valid, such as being printed and filled out in English and French. The 1969 IHR focused on 4 diseases: cholera, plague, smallpox, and yellow fever. However, Article 51 specified that vaccination against plague would not be required as a condition of admission of any person to a territory. The World Health Assembly determined in 1973 that vaccination against cholera was unable to prevent the introduction of cholera from one country to another, and removed this requirement from the 1973 revision of the IHR. It was also removed from the ICV. The ICV was most successful in the case of smallpox. The mandatory possession of vaccination certificates significantly increased the number of travelers who were vaccinated, and thus contributed to preventing the spread of smallpox, especially when the rapid expansion of air travel in the 1960s and 1970s reduced the traveling time from endemic countries to all other countries to just a few hours. After smallpox was successfully eradicated in 1980, the International Certificate of Vaccination against Smallpox was cancelled in 1981, and the new 1983 form lacked any provision for smallpox vaccination. Thus, only yellow fever remained as vaccination requirement for international travel, for which the ICV was used. By 1994, Saudi Arabia legally required pilgrims going to Mecca for the annual Hajj to vaccinate against meningococcal meningitis, while the Center for Disease Control also advised Americans traveling to the African meningitis belt or Kenya, Tanzania and Burundi to take the vaccine, especially when visiting during the dry season. The 2002 to 2004 Sars outbreak was the driving force behind the 23rd of May 2005 revision of the International Health Regulations, which entered into force on the 15th of June 2007. 1 on that day. The Model International Certificate of Vaccination or Prophylaxis contained in Annex 6 of the International Health Regulations replaced the International Certificate of Vaccination or Revaccination against yellow fever contained in Appendix 2 of the International Health Regulations. The main portion of the ICVP is a form for physicians to fill out when administering a vaccine. This section is mandated by the WHO's 2005 International Health Regulations, in which they provide a model of the document. It includes places for the traveler's name, date of birth, sex, nationality, national identification document, and signature. Below that is a row for each vaccine administered, in which the physician must include the prophylaxis or vaccine admini.